As Wes alluded to, I am now the father of 3 kids. Yeah, it's exciting. I have a just turned 5-year-old, Evelyn, and then almost 3, Olivia, and then we have a 1-week-old. Yesterday was 1 week, Elliot, a little boy. So many of you had asked what we're having, a boy, girl. We didn't know until he was born, so it was a surprise. It was fun. So little Elliot is at home. He's not here today. They're slackers, but it's fine. Whatever. No, but Friday night I was up late, because I'm getting a lot of sleep right now. It's awesome. No, it actually hasn't been that bad. There's one full night of sleep, which was great. But on Friday night, I decided to be the one to stay up late with Elliot, and it was about 2:30 in the morning, and I'm just looking at him as I rock him in the recliner, contemplating life. And I'm thinking how good it is to be a 1-week-old. Just rock here. You don't have to do a whole lot. You sleep only during the day, though. We don't sleep at night. You don't have a whole lot of responsibility. You just sleep, you eat, you use the restroom. You don't even have to go somewhere to do that. But I was thinking about it in light of what I want to share with you guys this morning, and it's about decisions, about choices. And I don't know if you remember when you were 1 week old, but there's not a lot of decisions that you have to make. Not a lot of choices that are on Elliot's mind, not a whole lot of responsibility that he has. But there's not a whole lot that he has to do. But I wonder, kids, you guys are in here today, if you've ever taken time to wonder how many decisions or choices you make in a single day. Now, there's a few kids in here. That is anyone under the age of 12th grade. You'll be a kid for my illustration today. But I just wonder, how many choices, how many decisions do you think you make in a single day? In a moment, I'm going to count down from 3, and I just want you to yell it out for me. How many decisions or choices, kids, you think you make in a single day, just one day? Now, if you think about this, there are a lot of decisions you can make, like what shirt you're going to wear. Do you pick your left nostril or your right nostril? Do you or do you not eat the booger? There's big decisions. What shoes do you want to wear? What do you want to play? What princess dress do you want to wear this day? What show do you want to watch? Do you want to have this snack? Do you want to have that snack? Do you want to have both snacks? How many decisions, how many choices do you make in a single day? I want you to yell it out in just a second. I'm going to count down, and I need you to participate here, okay? I'm banking on it. 3, 2, 1. 100? Nice. That'd be a good life. 100. I like it. Did you know that by the age of 5, you make about 3,000 choices in a day? By the age of 5, 3,000 choices. By the age of 10, you make 9,000 choices in a single day. 9,000. Now, adults, it's your turn. I won't make you yell. I don't want to hurt your throats. But I need you to whisper it to me. How many choices do you think you make in a day? In a single day, how many choices do you think you make, the average adult? Whisper it to me, okay? And don't say a lot. Someone in the last gathering just said a lot. I know, that counts. It is a lot. But let's whisper it in 3, 2, 1. That wasn't a whisper, Tommy. 20,000, that's quite a bit. The average adult makes 35,000 decisions in a single day, which means if you live to be 100 years old, you will make over 1 billion choices in your lifetime. Now, why is that important? Well, choices is what our life is all about. Our life is about choices. Everything in our life revolves around our choices or the choices of those around us. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'd like to say it this way, that choices shape who you are, what you do, and where you go. Choices shape who you are, what you do, and where you go. And some of our choices, some of our decisions are pretty small, like what shoes we want to wear, what we want to have for breakfast. But we have other choices, other decisions that are huge, like who we're going to marry, or maybe the job that we're going to take, or which way we're going to go, where we're going to live. And as we get older, our choices get bigger, and they all matter. We make a lot of choices in our lives, and God gives us this ability to make choices in our lives. And I want to talk today about how every choice that we make is important. Because it takes just one choice, good or bad, to change everything. I want to show you what I mean since we have kids in here, with some ice cream. You guys like ice cream? It's a lot of ice cream. This is how you usually pack your bowl up? I forgot a spoon, so we're just going to use the ice cream scooper. Anyone like the serving of 25 scoops? Be nice for a little bit. Some ice cream. Now, kids, you recently learned about the story of this guy named Jonah. Do you guys remember that? You remember learning about Jonah? Yeah, Gatling learned all about Jonah. Now, Jonah had a job from God. He was supposed to go to a place called Nineveh. Now, what did Jonah not do? He did not go to Nineveh. In fact, he decided to go in the other direction, this place called Tarshish. He made a choice, a decision. Just like with ice cream, we have some decisions to make because no one wants to eat the ice cream with no toppings. Jonah made his choice, what he was going to top his decisions with. Mustard, anybody? You guys put that on your ice cream? Anyone want to try it before I put that? No. Just, I haven't even done it yet. Yeah. Nothing makes Bluebell taste better than Oh, there we go. Yeah. Anyone want to try it? Let's do a little mixing in here. You know, Jonah made that choice. He went in the wrong direction. As he goes to Tarshish, he ends up on a boat. And on the boat, we know, as the story goes, that there are crazy storms going on. The wind is blowing everywhere. The ship is going back and forth, and no one on the boat knows what is going on, except for Jonah. Jonah knows that it is because of him. His choices, his decisions that he made in his life. Again, every choice is important. And as Jonah is sitting there, not telling anyone what is going on, he starts to contemplate his next choice, his next decision. Eventually, I would say he makes a relatively good choice, and that he tells the captain that it's his fault. However, Jonah's goal in doing that isn't to then go to Nineveh and do what God called him to do. You see, Jonah hated the Ninevites because of what they were known to be and the brutality that they were known to show. Jonah did not want to see them come into a relationship, come to know who God is. And as he tells the captain what he has caused, he doesn't decide he wants to go to Nineveh. He decides it's better for him to just no longer be. And so what the captain does is he throws him overboard. Jonah's life is literally spiraling downward. He continues to make choice after choice. What do you guys think the next thing is going to be? Salt? Even better. This is a scented cat box filler. But it's good because it's 99% dust-free. Yeah? You guys put that on your ice cream? You see that's not 99% dust-free. Anyone want to try it now? No? It's okay. Now, Jonah continues to make choices, decisions in his life, and as Jonah is sinking and spiraling down and down and down, what shows up, kids? Do you know? What comes and swallows, something comes to swallow Jonah? Big old fish. You guys ever been swallowed by a fish before? No? Maybe been noodling? That's kind of like getting swallowed by a fish, sort of? No? Jonah gets swallowed by this big fish stuck in this huge creature, dark, sticky, cramped. What we see in the life of Jonah is that life apart from God, choices made in disobedience to God, can spiral out of control and become messy. You know, the choices, the decisions we make in life, while we think this is disgusting, sometimes this is reflective of the choices we make in our lives. We know something we shouldn't do, but we do it anyway. We would never do that to ice cream. But in our lives, we do. Jonah keeps making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. And I'm not done because I found this. Now, smoked bacon and egg flavor. What dog food? Anyone? Ooh, smells great. Oh, It just came right out. Yeah, all right. Well, just, I got to save it. This is good stuff. Just mix that in there. Jonah makes choices, makes decisions in his life, and it ends up looking a little bit like this, just kind of gross, nasty. Some cat litter, smells real good. But again, the same is true for us. We all have choices that we make, and all of it hinges on this one idea, and that's that it is all about trust. When we consider the choices we are to make, everything boils down ultimately to trust. And that is that we have to choose to trust God in everything. To choose to trust God. When we do, our lives don't have to look like this. And you're in luck because I have more ice cream. Anyone want to try this ice cream? It's just vanilla right now? Just wait. You see, in the Old Testament, in Daniel chapter 3, I want to turn there real quick. We learn about these three guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who show us that life's choices don't have to look like this, but can actually look radically different if we choose to trust God, even when it doesn't make sense, even when we don't understand. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego chose to trust God. They lived about 2,600 years ago, and the Babylonians took over Judah. And they brought all of these Israelite youth into Babylon in order to train them as Babylonians, to completely take away their identity, their beliefs, and their faith. But these young men who were friends of Daniel stayed faithful to God. They chose to trust God. And as they chose to trust God, even in this foreign land, God continued to be right beside them, alongside them, every single step of the way. As they trusted, Daniel, we see, was promoted to be very high up in the ranks in Babylon. Not only him, but his friends also were promoted as well. And this upset the Babylonian officials. And as it upset the Babylonian officials, they grew jealous because there were these outsiders that were brought in, raised and elevated above them. Imagine at your workplace, someone who just joins the company, then becomes your boss. You're like, I've been here for 15 years. They're angry, they're jealous, they're frustrated because of this. They don't think it's fair. And so what they look for is a way to get rid of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego for good. And there's this king, Nebuchadnezzar, who builds a giant golden statue, and he commands everyone, when they hear the music play, everyone must bow down and worship this statue. And if they don't, they are going to be thrown into a fire that is blazing enough to kill anyone who is thrown into it. You guys ever play with fire? Don't answer that. They're thrown into a fiery furnace. And it burns and it burns and it burns. And if they don't bow down and worship this statue, that is where they're going to end up. So these Chaldeans, these Babylonians, scheme up a plan to get that for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Let's take a look in Daniel chapter 3, starting in verse 8. It says, For this reason, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and brought charges against the Jews. They responded and said to Nebuchadnezzar the king, O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, the flute, the lyre, the trigon, the psaltery, and bagpipe, and all kinds of music is to fall down and worship the golden image. But whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into the midst of the furnace of blazing fire. And there are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the administration of the province of Babylon, namely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have disregarded you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image which you set up. These Chaldeans knew that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would not bow down because what they were actively doing is choosing to trust God no matter the circumstances. No matter what they faced, no matter what they saw, they were trusting in their God. So these enemies of the three scheme up this plan. They tell the king, and the king is furious. We see in verse 13, it continues. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in rage and anger, gave orders to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then these men were brought before the king. Nebuchadnezzar responded and said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I set up? Now, if you are ready, at the moment you hear the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, and bagpipe, and all kinds of music, to fall down and worship the image that I have made, very well. But if you do not worship, you will immediately be cast into the midst of a furnace of blazing fire. And what God is there who can deliver you out of my hands?" He is angry. If you do not bow down now, this is where you are headed. Testing them. But again, choices are ours to make. Up to this point, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego have chosen to trust God even when it didn't make sense, even when they didn't know what would happen. And this is their reply to him in verse 16. They replied to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to give you an answer concerning this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, that we are not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." And so what Nebuchadnezzar does is he gets two of his most valiant warriors. He has them tie Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego up. And as he ties them up, they get too close to the fire. Those two men end up burning. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they get closer to the fire, and the king is just sitting there to watch. And as he is watching, he heats the furnace 7 times hotter, as if it wasn't hot enough. And as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are tossed into the fire, we see something incredible happen. That they're in the fire, but they don't burn. But how is that so? Not only that, as they're in the fire, the king says he sees another one there with them. We see that even when it didn't make sense, they chose to trust in a God that was going to protect them no matter what. They just saw 2 men get burned because they got too close to the fire. Daniel chapter 3, verse 25, it says, "And he said, look, I see 4 men loosed and walking about in the midst of the fire without harm. And the appearance of the 4th is like the son of the gods." The king is shocked. And he calls for these men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to come out of the fire. You know, as we consider the choices that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego made, their choices could look a little bit like this. But they chose a different path. They chose caramel drizzle. Yeah? Anyone put that on their ice cream? A little bit better than mustard, huh? You can never have too much, right? You know, they were sent over to Babylon. And while they were in Babylon, they were trained up to be in a different kind of people, a different kind of culture, with a different faith. But they continued to choose to trust God amidst all of their circumstances, all that was going on around them, even when they were promoted and elevated high in this country. They chose to trust God. It was simple. Just bow down and worship the statue, and you'll continue forward with power, importance, position. They chose a different path. A little bit of chocolate syrup on there. See how high I can go without spilling? Yeah, you guys do that whenever you're at home too? Just like wave it up and down? No. That's okay. Do you want me to stir it with this one right here? Yeah, let's get that over. No. You guys are emotionally attached to this ice cream. But as they continue forward, not only are they promoted, not only do they continue to trust God, but as they are in the fire, God protects them. They did not know that was going to happen. They did not know that they were going to be okay. We see that it says, even if he does not, we're not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. They live through the fire. It's like the sprinkles. You have two choices with sprinkles. You got this side, the responsible side, and then you got the real side. Oh, yeah. Is that enough? All right. Okay. You know what's incredible is that not only does God protect them in the fire, but the cherry on top is that our choices don't just impact us. It impacts the lives of those around us too. We see that Nebuchadnezzar's response to these three in the fire, he calls them out, and then in verse 20 it says, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants who put their trust in him, violating the king's command and yet yielding their bodies up so as not to serve or worship any god except their own. Therefore I make a decree that any people, nation, or tongue that speaks anything offensive against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be torn limb from limb, and their house reduced to a rubbish heap, inasmuch as there is no other God who is able to deliver in this way." You see the decision to choose to trust God by Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. It didn't just impact their lives. When we live in that way, it's contagious. Because of their faith, their choice to trust God, even when it didn't make sense, it changed a nation. They all began to worship and follow the God Yahweh, the one who protected these men in the fire. You see, as we go through our lives, well, this is a silly illustration. This is kind of what our life will end up looking like ourselves. And we laugh and think, there's no way I'd eat this. But I fear far too often this is the choice that we make. We know it's not good for us. We know we shouldn't. But, nah. When God says, if you just choose to trust me, you'll be good. I promise I'll be there. You're not alone. That doesn't mean it will be easy. Doesn't mean it will be simple. When we choose to trust God, he is present. Just like he was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the incredible thing about the story of Jonah is that eventually this isn't what Jonah's life looks like. He eventually ends up in Nineveh. He shares about who God is to these people, that God gives us a second chance even when we choose to go in a different direction. Because he loves us. He cares for us. And he cares for you. We all make many decisions each and every day, and those decisions are important. Those choices could be life-changing, could be world-changing. But we're the ones that are responsible for it. This is relevant for kids, students, adults. Kids, you can trust God in everyday choices that you have to make. When you're scared or nervous, you're going to a new school, you're going to a new doctor, you don't know if you have any friends there, you can know that you're never alone, that God is always with you. And I want you to remember this statement, kids, that even when I'm scared or don't know what to do, I can trust God to help me do the right thing. And students, youth, some of you just went to camp. A life-changing experience. And as you go through your life, you're going to be tempted to compromise. Compromise your values, your beliefs. Be unsure about your future, what it holds. Maybe you're dealing with anxiety, depression. You can know that you're not alone. That your future is in the hands of a God that loves you, that cares for you. This is going to be alongside you as well. Students, I want you to remember this statement, that even when I feel pressure or don't understand the future, I choose to trust God and stand firm in who He says I am. That you can stand firm in what He's already said about you and to you and for you. And adults, the same is true for us. You have a lot of weight on your shoulders. Financially, parenting, aging parents maybe. You have a lot of responsibility. But we can choose to trust as well. Through the financial strain, through what feels like it's overwhelming, through a medical diagnosis. Choosing to trust, again, doesn't make it easy. But there's a peace that surpasses understanding that God promises to us. He says, I've loved you with an everlasting love. I've drawn you with an unfailing kindness. And we can lean on that love, lean on that kindness through the difficulty. And I would say this statement for you adults, that even when life feels out of control, I will trust the God who holds it all together. There weren't just 3 in the furnace, there was a 4th. And the God that was there is present in our midst too. And so from here, I don't want you to remember the fire, the ice cream, the not good ice cream. Just remember that each and every day you have the opportunity to make choices that impact not just your future, but the future of those around you. The choice is yours to make. And each of us have to daily choose to trust God, even when we don't understand, even when it doesn't make sense. And watch Him show up and be there alongside us.